God's prophets in general history, the Queen of Sheba with Solomon and the Queen of the Amazons with Alexander the Great. According to historians, there was confusion in general history regarding the Amazon queen. There was historical confusion regarding the meeting between Alexander the Great and the Queen of the Amazons, which was attributed to Herodotus, the Greek historian. Herodotus mentioned in his book about the daughters of the Amazons, which is a legendary story that has no connection with reality, except that at the time when Alexander was in the region, they were ruled by a woman, and the myth that says that the entire army is made up of women, and that they play the role of men in life, is a myth. It made historians refuse to mention the incident and challenge it. Here's what historians said about the encounter, which was written by Alexander the Great's travel writer Onesicritus. Quintus Curtius Rufus. Life of Alexander the Great. It was, as has been said above, a race of Amazons bordering on Hyrcania, inhabiting the plains of Themiscira near the Thermodontus River. They had a queen named Thalestri, commanding all between Mount Caucasus and the river Phaeson. Inflamed with this desire to see the king, he went beyond the borders of his kingdom, and when he was not far off, he went ahead, telling them that the queen had come and was eager to know him. As soon as he had power to come, the others were ordered to remain. And he proceeded with a company of 300 women. And as soon as the king was in sight, she leaped from her horse, carrying 2 lances in her right hand. The clothes of the Amazons do not cover the whole body, for the left side is bare up to the chest, and the rest are then covered. And yet the bosom of the garment, which they gather in a knot, does not descend below the knees. The other nipple is kept untouched, with which the female sex nurses their children. The right one is burned, so that they aim the bow more easily and vibrate the weapons. With a frightened countenance he gazed upon the king of Thalestris, surveying with his eyes his demeanor in no way worthy of fame. For all barbarians are venerated in the majesty of their bodies, and they think that no one else is capable of great deeds than those whom nature has deigned to bestow in exceptional form. Moreover, being asked whether he wished to ask for anything, he did not hesitate to confess that he had come to share with the king his children, a worthy one from whom he himself would beget heirs to the kingdom. He would retain himself of the female sex, and return the male to his father. Alexander asks whether he would go to war with him, and when she had caused him to leave the kingdom without a guardian, he persisted in asking that he should not allow himself to go away without hope. He was more eager for the woman's love than for the king's, so that he might stay a few days. 13 days were spent in compliance with his desire. Then they asked the Parthian king for his kingdom. Old Jewish chronicles tell a similar story, the parallel lives. By Plutarch. Here the queen of the Amazons came to see him, as most writers say, among whom are Clitarchus, Polyclitus, Onesicritus, Antigenes, and Ister. But Aristobulus chairs the royal usher, Ptolemy, Anticleides, Philo the Theban, and Philip of the Angela, besides Hecate too. What did general history say about Alexander the Great about wisdom? Alexander the Great sayings about wisdom. How should a man be capable of grooming his own horse, or of furbishing his own spear and helmet, if he allows himself to become unaccustomed to tending even his own person, which is his most treasured belonging? Alexander the Great. I am not afraid of an army of lions led by a sheep. I am afraid of an army of sheep led by a lion. Alexander the Great. Remember, upon the conduct of each depends the fate of all. Alexander the Great. A tomb now suffices him for whom the whole world was not sufficient. Alexander the Great. How happy had it been for me had I been slain in the battle. It had been far more noble to have died the victim of the enemy than fall a sacrifice to the rage of my friends. Alexander the Great. There is still discussion about Alexander the Great and the prophet Solomon. Hesham Taher.